we first noticed an issue with Eve when she was about 6 weeks old. I had her on the floor and I was bicycling her legs like you would with a newborn, and she didn't like it. She was crying and wasn't happy about it. So I stopped, and she stopped, and it was fine. And I was had her in my lap, and I was like, well, I'll do it with her arms. And so I was bicycling her arms, and she also didn't like that. And I thought, well, this is strange, because every time I lifted her arm up, she would cry, and I'd put it down and she would stop. And it was a Sunday, so my husband's like, well, don't you think we should take her to the doctor? I'm like, well, she seems fine if I just don't do that. And so let's just give it a minute. In the morning, if it still seems to be happening, then I'll take her in. So sure enough, it still seemed to be happening when she woke up in the morning. So we took her in to see our general practitioner doctor, and she thought maybe she dislocated it. That's common in infants for that sort of thing to happen, and it turned out she had a broken humerus. And so in that X-ray, they had noticed that maybe there was also some broken ribs, and from that point they sent us to Children's Hospital, and they did a full body scan, and she had 14 fractures in various stages of healing. So we were investigated and accused of child abuse. The social worker at the time did suspect that possibly it was osteogenesis imperfecta the very first day, but she was admitted to get her pain under control and to get the alignment in those femurs and stuff like that. And the geneticist at the time felt that non-accidental trauma could not be ruled out. So because non-accidental trauma could not be ruled out, we continued to be investigated, and she was actually technically removed from our custody, although we were allowed to stay with her at the hospital so long as we were able to provide ourselves with supervision. When we did the pedal pushers, Eve was 6 weeks old, but we did not get an official diagnosis until 2013. So she was born in 2008, so she was about 5 or 6 years old before we've got that official diagnosis where they could positively identify that it was type 15.
I want new therapists to not underestimate us, and to know that we know our body best, and definitely listen as much as we can, and we know what we can do, and it might not be what you expect, but we know what we're doing.
I would want clinicians to know, one, understand that, going back to, when we first were finding out she had OI, to understand that to be open to the fact that if you see a child who has fractures but things don't quite seem to add up, that maybe it is something different, that maybe it's OI, and to be open and compassionate. And if you have a parent who comes in looking for a therapy that is in the process of being accused, to be careful not to assume that they are abusers, even if they are in that process, because it's terribly traumatic. So be compassionate to parents in that situation, number one. Also, it's a rare disorder, and it seems from my experience that some of the therapies are not always typical of what you would do. So if it's a situation you're uncomfortable with, to acknowledge that and to seek a center of excellence or somebody who does have a lot of experience with OI. It's pretty easy to look up the Osteogenesis Imperfecta Foundation and to find out. For an example, Omaha Children's Hospital is a center of excellence. The Montreal Shriners, especially in the Shriners Hospital in Montreal especially has a lot of experience and expertise in that area. The Shriners in Chicago is okay too. So I would say reach out to somebody that really has a lot of experience, and maybe speak to your parents too and ask them who they would like you to reach out to, for some guidance as to how to proceed with working with somebody with OI.
So I think a lot of people assume that it's sad, but it's not. We still live our lives to the fullest. And I guess if you're a parent who has a child with OI, I guess this isn't really my place to say because I'm not in that situation. But to let them do, not to be overprotective of them, because it's scary, understandably, but you gotta let them live. What?
You're awesome. I just think the ones that really listen to us and haven't underestimated what she's capable of has been, our best experiences.